What's up, everybody? Welcome to The Revival. My name is JJ, and yes, it's finally here. My Dark Souls Remastered review. I'm so sorry for the wait on this. A lot of things just kind of went wrong and fell all over the place, and it's been in the works for a long time because I beat this so long ago. But I am really, really glad that I was finally able to do it, and everything is ready, and hope you like it. First off, I want to make it clear that this is not a comparison to the original Dark Souls. This is a review of Dark Souls Remastered, coming from the perspective of someone who's never played any Souls game before. I'd always heard of the brutality of the Souls games, and how they weren't necessarily going to be the best choice of play for someone who isn't already a heavy gamer. I heard they take time and patience, and aren't for people looking for a relaxing experience or instant gratification in their video games. And while I do agree with all that for the most part, my biggest problem with Dark Souls Remastered wasn't necessarily the difficulty itself, but more so the punishing nature of the game when you fail. With that in mind, however, I can easily say that Dark Souls Remastered is one of the best games I've ever played that I didn't really have fun playing. Regarding the game's story, I'll be honest, I don't really remember a whole lot of the premise other than the fact that you start the game as an undead character working your way through this dark fantasy world full of massive and brutally difficult creatures standing in your way. Eventually you can switch back and forth between undead and human form, equip different weapons and armor, and use many different kinds of magic. Well, the whole world itself is really captivating, and the creatures and characters and everything that you meet along the way are super interesting and really cool looking. The story itself kind of becomes a little bit of an afterthought. As you realize the more you play, it just becomes a find the next boss and kill it. The gameplay itself is what the Souls series is known for. One of my favorite aspects was simply wandering around and trying to find new areas to explore. While the monsters in each area were brutally tough in many cases, it was far from impossible, and once you had the controls and enemy patterns down, exploration became a lot more feasible, and in most cases, pleasant. While Dark Souls is known for its brutality, it never got to the point where I said to myself, there's no way I can beat this. I knew that with practice and patience, I could finally beat each area. Each new challenge pushed me to want to finish it, and get to the next leg of the journey. And therein lies my real problem with Dark Souls Remastered. Now, I can handle the difficulty. It's one of those games where you fail not because the game is broken or unbalanced or unfair. It's more because you mistimed a button press or just didn't get a dodge right. I would play for a few hours, get to a part that had me stuck, get frustrated, then have to put the controller down and come back later that night, or in most cases the next day. Hence why my fun factor went down the tube so often with this game. Every time I stopped playing, it was because I was so angry and frustrated with what I was attempting. I had heard that when you finally beat areas that you're stuck on, you get a sense of pride and accomplishment. While that's true on some level, for the most part what I felt was just relief, and then dread that I knew the next area was most likely going to house something else that would make me frustrated and need to stop playing for a bit. Each time I put the controller down, I didn't say to myself, man, that was fun! Instead, I would say, I can't wait until this is over. And like I said, it wasn't even due to the difficulty itself. It was mainly because the game punishes you so much for failing. You die in a spot, lose the souls you were carrying, which are this game's version of experience points, and then depending on where you last saved, might have to make an insanely long trek back to where your corpse was, hoping you didn't die again along the way and thus losing any hope you had of getting those souls back. Sometimes I'd die right next to a bonfire, which wasn't a big deal considering I could just spawn right there and for the most part pick up right where I left off. But it was those moments where I just walked 20 to 30 minutes or more, having to clear out sections of enemies only to die just before the next save area. Then have to walk all the way back with every enemy respawned along the way, not to mention durability loss on your weapons and armor, as well as any consumables you used. It wasn't hard, it was just demoralizing. I would just feel like there was very little reason to continue when I knew that there was a good chance I was just going to be losing potentially hours of playtime with having very little, if anything, to show for it, and in some cases end up being worse off than I was when I started. That's my main gripe with the game, though, and honestly I have nothing but good things to say about the combat itself and how well balanced everything is, even taking into account how many different playstyles this game offers to accommodate. Each sword, axe, and hammer all swing differently, and even affect the way you parry and dodge. Magic and bows provide a major shift in strategy from traditional melee weapons, and finding the perfect combination is up to each individual player. One of the things I love most is how it encourages you to figure out what playstyle works best for you, and how vastly different each challenge can be approached. There really is no right way to play Dark Souls Remastered, and that was a really cool aspect. However, if you ask me what my favorite characteristic of the game was, it would easily be the visuals. Breathtaking vistas, insanely cool monster designs, and dark and diverse environments. Each new area, while frustrating at times to play, was an absolute eye-opening sight to behold. From the pitch-black catacombs to the grand scope of Anor Londo, I've never seen such terrifying environments be made to look so beautiful. I can't speak to the original release, but if it looked even half as good as the remaster, the visuals must have easily been one of the high points back then as well. The sound in Dark Souls Remastered does its job perfectly. Terrifying echoes in the dark, monster noises that make your skin crawl, and don't even get me started on how satisfying the sound of getting a good, clean hit on an enemy is. It's the same with the music. Being a JRPG fan, music is extremely important in video games for me, and I typically love the emotional weight that most JRPGs tend to convey in their soundtracks. Dark Souls Remastered doesn't do any of that, but makes up for it by making the music fit perfectly in every instance it's used. You typically won't hear music while walking around each area, which for me added to the sense of how alone you were in this harsh, unforgiving, lonely environment. But as soon as you enter a boss fight, you'll be bombarded with strings, choirs, and sounds that make each encounter that much more horrific and terrifying to endure. I will say that considering in most cases you'll die more than once on a boss and have to keep repeating the encounter, you'll notice it less and less, but the first few times on a new boss are made that much more memorable because of the music. So, there you have it, my review of Dark Souls Remastered. Honestly, I can't recommend this game, that everybody at least try. If you don't try this game, try a Dark Souls game, try Bloodborne, Demon Souls, whatever. Try one of these games that are rumored to be brutally tough, just for the sake of being tough, and kind of judge for yourself as to why it is so tough. For me, like I said in the review, it was more about just the punishing nature of it when, things would go wrong. If you screwed up, as you're trying to get better, it would just punish you so much for making the wrong choice, when I just feel like dying and having to do a section over again is punishment enough, but then to make matters worse and more difficult the next time you do it, it's like, well, it was just like I mentioned before, it was just demoralizing. That being said, I really, really am so glad that I was able to make my way through it. Another thing I didn't mention in the review and didn't bring up was the multiplayer aspect. If you have somebody to play with, it's worlds better. It's so much more fun, especially if you've got a regular group. I had Adrian play with me a few times, and those were some of the best times that I had with this game. Even dying and that kind of thing was just made easier because you have somebody to talk to, somebody to vent to, somebody to kind of and I knew that he could tell I was getting mad in some situations and stuff. But I mean, that's the nature of the beast. That's the way the game goes. I highly, highly recommend that as being the optimal way to play, at least in my experience. I just liked playing with other people a lot better. I will also say I originally didn't plan on continuing with the series. I was just like, you know what, I'm done. And I'm so glad I finished it, and I just wanted to be done. After thinking about it, I think what I'm going to do is, so I added this to my list of 20 games that I beat throughout the year, and I think that was a mistake, because that basically put it in my head, hey, I've got other games to get to, so I need to beat this. And I don't think that is the approach I should have taken, and I think it was a bit of a shoot myself in the foot kind of thing. I am going to try Dark Souls 2 next year, and I've already talked to Adrian about this, and he's on board as well. What I'm going to do is I'm not going to add it to the list, but I'm going to play it very casually. I'm going to just, whenever he's on, I'm on, ring him up or text him or something like that, and just be like, hey, you want to try to get a little farther than Dark Souls 2? And I know Dark Souls 2 is also controversial in how great it is and stuff. I've heard mixed things on both sides. Honestly, if it looks half as good as this, I'm just excited to see the eye candy, because this game was so beautiful. Horrific, but beautifully horrific. I think there's so much to offer here that I just hate to just leave it at this, if that makes sense. I really think this is one of those games that everybody has to try for themselves and kind of make their own judgment. And I know that's kind of in my review on whether or not I recommend to play something, it's just really hard for me to give a definitive, like, yes, you will like this, or no, you won't like this. This is definitely, and I guess that's every game technically, but this is really one of those games where there's so many factors that contribute to the overall enjoyment. And for me, it was like enjoyment versus appreciation. It's like, because there was a lot that I did not enjoy about this, but there was so much I appreciated. So it's just a lot to take in, and I really, really would love to hear other people's. Quite frankly, honestly, like, I know a lot of you people that I've talked to that have played these games have played it a while back or are big fans or something like that. I'm curious to see what your initial reaction was when you first jumped into this series, whether it was Demon Souls or the original Dark Souls or whatever. If you kind of like felt the same way, or if it just grabbed you and you were just like, I love this gameplay style. I want to get into it. I want to do more. I'd be curious to hear what other people have to say. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. Like I said, I can't recommend trying this enough. Is it going to be for everybody? Hell no. Absolutely not. It's very, very frustrating. And again, demoralizing. But I think it's so well made, and there's so much, again, to appreciate, that it really is something that I think even if you don't like, if the gameplay style and everything isn't for you, I think there's still something in here that everybody can get. I think, how to phrase that? I think everybody can get something out of this game, if that makes sense. Whether it be the visuals, whether it be the music, whether it be just the crazy moments, the boss battles, the gameplay, anything, the difficulty. I really, really think this game has so much to offer. So I highly, highly encourage people to try it out and see for yourself what you think. And, let me know. Let me know what your experiences were. Especially if you're somebody who has never tried any and you want to give this a shot. I don't think it's super expensive. I bought it a while ago, and I honestly don't remember how much I spent on it. But I don't think it's very expensive. And, I mean, I played the remastered version, so that's the version I would tell you to, give a shot to. But, if you've got a PS3 and you can get the original, or you have the original, just haven't played it, give it a shot, man. Seriously. It's unique, very much so, and it's very well built. And, I'm going in circles at this point, so I will kind of leave it there. But thank you so much for watching. I promise it won't be as long until my next review. I really want to, I don't know what I'm going to review next, so I'm not sure. But I will have something, in the next couple of months. It won't be like half a year this time. At least we'll see. But I'm really glad that I was able to finally get this done, because I really did want to review it, because I had a lot to say. So thank you for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you think. Love hearing from you guys. And as always, keep on gaming.